All right, so we should be live. Let's just check into this here. Refresh the page. Okay, I believe we are live. Wait a minute for everyone to get in here. What's going on? What's up, everybody? See who we got here. We got some folks signing on Facebook. What's up? What's up, guys? It is Thursday, almost at the end of our week. Ken, what up? What up? Sums. What's up? Where are you? Where are you? Yolanda, what's up? Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being on time. All right. Hey, what's up, Ken? Hey, I want to start off, guys. If you guys could tell me, I'd like to see some thumbs up, some comments. Who took some action yesterday? And when I say action yesterday, that could be anything. Tell me something you did. Did you watch 1 hour of the Transurfing video that I recommended for you? If you did, awesome. Did somebody make an offer yesterday? Did anybody make a phone call yesterday? Because here's the thing, guys. I truly believe that there is momentum to action and there is momentum to inaction. I don't believe that you're ever stagnant. So if you are moving in the direction of any type of action, that's the best thing you could do. Let me know what you guys did yesterday. Naomi, what's up? Real Closer, what up? What up? Mike, what's going on? First Value. Appreciate you guys being here. Let me know what you've been up to. Andre, offers and calls. I already knew you had offers and calls done, bro. I could tell. I just know these things, man. Psychic like that. But excellent, guys. And yo, as much as I appreciate you being here, love you being here, it probably looks good for me in terms of my like YouTube channel and views and stuff. If you're not taking action, I would prefer you even not be here and go and take action. Take this time to fill out an offer, maybe your very first offer. You know, that could be the spark that gets everything done. To take that first action, submit the contract, watch this shit on the replay tomorrow morning, maybe get up 20 minutes earlier, watch it, listen to it on the replay, and then you'll have a question to ask me tomorrow. But you're one step closer. So much stuff just happens like incrementally. It's very rarely like this huge jump. You know what I'm saying? Well, let me backtrack on that. Usually it only takes one deal. So your first deal could very much elevate you 20, 30K, which yes, that's a big jump. So the result can be a big jump, but the actions that you take to get there are rarely, you know, the big jump. So you hear a lot of people say, oh, such and such was a overnight success. And then come to find out, I mean, Kevin Hart talks about in his books, like everyone called him an overnight success. He was like, bro, I was, you know, taking these trips and these long drives from Philly up to New York every single day, getting booed, whatever. So there's no overnight success. You know, this stuff does happen. You know, yo, Stephanie's on again. What's up? I sent the earnest money deposit your way, not from me, but from buyer today. So you see that JV contract. You probably won't see my name on it, but it's on the way. All right, cool. Somebody, Mike, cold called 100 people today. That's amazing. Props to you, brother. Shout out. Hey, let's do some shout outs. So Michael M, you're going to get the shout out right now. That's amazing, man. I love to see that type of action. Andre gets a shout out, offers and calls done. And I got one email I pulled up today, actually. I don't know who this is. This is not a student of mine or anything, but this is Luciano. I hope you're on the call. Hey, Mike, I just want to say thank you. You have no idea how you changed my life from being broke broke as fuck, to making 6 figures a year. I started watching videos on YouTube January 2017, some of them more than once, and that's when everything started to turn around. Still watching the new ones and still learning. Again, thank you very much. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, man. That's what I do this stuff for, and that feels amazing to hear. So, wow, that's actually dope, man. Thank you very much. Let's see what other feedback we got going on. Andre got cursed out yesterday by an agent, so I know I'm doing something right. I'm actually looking forward to getting cursed out tomorrow too. Hey, that's the thing. You got to have thick skin to be in this business. So many people, some can make it past the first curse out or the first thing, but most can't. You know, and what I would say is obviously you have to have that thick skin, but sometimes you could even practice flipping it around on that person. Just don't be reactive. Don't be defensive. Don't justify. You know, say, hey, yeah, I understand. I mean, some people are just salty people, so that happens. We'll say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm really looking for some, XYZ, whatever you're looking for. Could you help me out? Like, do you have something else maybe that might be a better fit? Sometimes you can placate, you can play to them, you can play a little naive if you have to, but again, don't take it as one or the other. I always tell you to have that dominant frame, and that's most important, but you can still do that and still kind of act like this person is, oh, you're the man, like, come on, help me out, blah, 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 stuff like that. All right, so cool. Oh, there's Luciano. What's up, man? Got that email. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Where are you, by the way? 786 number, so I'm assuming you're here in Florida. So if that's the case, we need to do some things together. Let's do some business. All right, guys, we got a couple people on the stream, so absolutely want to kind of get into this today. Ken, I see you made an offer today. Hey, that is amazing. Awesome. Ahmed, hey, I've been looking for you, bro. I'm gonna hold you accountable in the sense that I used to get a lot of emails. Everybody goes through the ups and downs. I missed you for a little bit, man. So get back with me. Even if you just send me an email just being like, hey, what's up? I slowed down a little bit. I'm getting back on. Shoot me an email, man. Stay in touch. Even if you slow down a little bit. I expect. I'm going to look for your email tonight or tomorrow, man. Hit me up. All right, so check it. Thank you all for being here again. Ken's got a lot of call from buyers but not motivated sellers. Bro, that's not a bad thing. So many times we're looking at these actions almost in a vacuum, So I got a similar email on this earlier. I'll touch on it in a minute. But it's like, oh, I'm only getting buyers, or oh, I'm only getting calls from certain people. You never know. I've had buyers on my list, even guys I've talked to, and I'm like, man, I spent an hour on the phone with this cat, man. Like, what a waste of time. Months go by, months and months, and then I sell a property to that person months and months later. So you just never know. You might JV with somebody later. You just never know. So don't look at this stuff in a vacuum. Even if it's talking like we talked about yesterday, making phone calls, and it's just practice. It's not a bad thing either. So everything is good. Every action you take is good. You're either going to get a deal, you're going to learn something, you're going to become more competent. I remember there were times I was so bad on the phone, and I'm weird like this, but I made a video note. I recorded a video talking to myself and saying, this is what you did wrong. Don't ever do this again. And I made notes, and I learned going forward. And it's funny because I actually saw that on my computer like not too long ago, and it's a little weird to watch yourself like that, but a message from the past to your future self. But really, you're learning from everything. So for everyone here taking action, much props and much respect, man. That's the way you're gonna get it going. So the question I wanted to start with today, welcome everyone still signing on. Luis, hey, I'm in West Palm. I'm in Palm Beach, Florida. So I do most of my business in the southeast. We call it South Florida, but it's Southeast Florida. Brenda's on. Hey, what's up? So Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade. Primarily Palm Beach and Broward. I'm going to be doing more stuff in Dade towards the end of the year. And then also I do stuff in Port St. Lucie as well. Less deals up there, but there's also less competition. So, and it's getting a little bit saturated down here. Not saturated, but we're just growing at a healthy pace. It's a good thing, I think, for business, too. There's a lot more demand. But Port St. Lucie area is very nice, and people are kind of moving up there. So the spreads tend to be a little bit better, actually. All right, so here's one that I've talked about before, but I just really like this question because it comes up a lot. Luciano's in Hollywood. That's what's up, man. Keep in touch. Hollywood, Florida, that is. All right, so how to stay motivated. Now, this is such a simplistic sounding question, but how to stay motivated. Make direct eye contact for this one. All right, so my answer right here is fuck motivation. And let me explain why, right? Motivation, I always have to backtrack. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The analogy I use often is it's like nitrous in a car, right? So when you have it, everyone loves to be motivated. It's great. It'll catapult you to new levels of success or productivity or whatever. But my point is, you cannot count on just nitrous in a car if you got a shitty car. If you got a great car, good engine, and you got the nitrous in it, awesome. But you can't count on only using that shit all of the time. You got to have your foundation, your engine, your car running well first. So rather than focus on motivation, which is great when it comes, but I like to focus on discipline. So the way I define it is motivation is when you feel like doing stuff. How do you feel like doing something? And when you do, when you're in flow state, that's great. And there are ways you can kind of do that. I'll touch on that in a minute. But the real thing is to develop discipline. So discipline means to do the shit that you have to do even when you don't feel like doing it. So if you look at the bodybuilders and the people who are in the best shape, you know, the most ripped or the biggest, whatever it is, these are not people who are the most motivated to look a certain way, to have a certain pleasing aesthetic. They don't always feel like going to the gym. They don't always feel like eating salad. Rather, that they're so committed to their goals. They just have that discipline in place. So I think the best way to develop discipline is through your habits and routines. And this is something that I stress in my program a lot, because so much of what we do happens on a subconscious level. You guys have probably seen that iceberg where, you know, it's 10% above is your conscious mind and the 90% below is your subconscious mind. And when we're doing things out of habit, and, you know, a good example is either like tying your shoes. The first time you learn it, you know, it's complicated, right? When you're a little kid, but then now you probably don't remember the last time you tie your shoes. It's so automatic. Same with driving a car, particularly if you drive in manual. It's like the first time you got to be so focused. You know, now you might take your commute to work and it's almost automatic. And so I get a lot of, you know, people joining streams or, you know, students or whoever, and they get very excited, super motivated, and they're like, Mike, I'm going to do, you know, 100 offers today, 1,000 offers today. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. I'm not going to discourage you from doing that if you can, but I would much rather put in place the routines and the habits that make this thing automatic, because what we're looking for here is consistency over time. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I can get you guys to get started, and I'll get into some of the more specific things in a minute, but I think people overlook this really, like, you know, you want to talk about results oriented shit, like people overlook this piece, and that is to be consistent. So rather than make, you know, 100 offers or 1,000 offers, which could be cool, it's like saying, hey, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to go do 1,000 push-ups today. It's like, bro, you're probably just going to get sore. You're going to get burnt out. You're probably not going to hit 1,000, and you're not going to see any results. Whereas if you just did 10 a day, every day for a week, then 20 a day, and 30 a day, not only would you see results, you'd feel better. It would get a lot easier for you. And again, like I said, you'd see results. So what I would do is temporarily disassociate from the results and focus on the process, right? Just at least just temporarily. So for 8 weeks, if you guys want the key to the success here, especially for beginners, if you've done some deals, you know, it's probably slightly different for you in terms of the specific things I would have to do. But I would say, look, based on your time, your money, whatever your circumstances, I would say, look, for 8 weeks, every single day, I'm going to make 10 offers, and I'm going to make, you know, 10 follow-up phone calls. I'm going to follow up on the offers I made yesterday or 48 hours ago. And then every Friday, I made this one list. Maybe you started with, let's say, evictions, and then you qualified it. I'm talking especially if you guys are trying to do your first deal. So you got like the most likely to convert, which means you added in multiple criteria like we talked about before. So now these are evictions. They're absentee owners. They have, you know, at least 50% equity. The value of the house is a certain amount. It's definitely a house. It's not an apartment, condo. Maybe there's no or low HOA, stuff like that, right? And I'm going to direct mail to this list every Friday. Now, if every one of you did that, I would more or less be comfortable guaranteeing the vast majority of you would end up with a deal within 8 weeks. Now, people, especially in society today, we're very fast. We want instant results. It's like the microwave society. We want everything fast. But if you really commit to that process, I would think that the majority of you would have a deal done within 8 weeks, right? And remember, this is a business. You could fail 99% of the time. You just need one deal, and that could change your life. You could take all the profits of that deal and throw it all at direct marketing, and it will all expand exponentially, right? But or with that, right, you do that for 8 weeks. Some of you, they're outliers. So some of you will get lucky within the first 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and you might do a deal. And then there are outliers on the other hand. Some of you might do that and not get a deal. You might not get a deal for 12 weeks. It happens, right? That's life. That's reality. But that's most likely. But what I see happen most often is people start off strong and then they neglect the habit, or they fall off the horse and stuff like that. And that's why it can take so long, or they doubt themselves and then they want to switch their strategy, you know, stuff like that. And so that's what makes the process a lot longer, and that's what's most common. And I don't say this from a place of judgment. I say that because I did that shit for a long time, and I see it in students all the time. So that's typically what happens. But if y'all wanted that secret sauce, that formula, so to speak, that's basically what I would say, and that's what I would recommend you guys go ahead and do. All right, so let's see what we got going on in terms of some of these comments on here. Got a couple more folks on the stream. That's what's up. Appreciate you guys. All right, so let's scroll up. And let's start with, let's see, property investors. Can I double close so the agent won't see my fee, or would I pushed it over to a cash buyer when wholesaling during using an agent? Yeah. I mean, look, first of all, I don't know, the agent really should not care because you're not taking a commission, right? And you can come back to them. But, I mean, it's a good question. You can do assignable contracts with agents. You can, but just know that it's less likely to be accepted, which is why I always say make the contract non-assignable, especially if you're in Florida and you can use that land trust, right? But when you're double closing, the agent is only involved on the A to B, so they're not going to see what you make on the B to C. Basically, in most cases, you're using transactional funding, so you are actually purchasing that house. You'll own it. So what happens if you sell it afterwards? You're never going to see it. It doesn't matter. They're not there. That's basically a separate closing. It's two separate closings. It's no different if you own a house today and sold it in 2030. If you sold it 20 years down the road, you just happen to sell it right after. So, yeah, when you're doing the double close, the agent's not going to see your profit. You're just reselling. You're doing everything you said you were going to do, closing on the property and all that. So that's fine. All right. Can you wholesale with a real estate license? Yes, absolutely you can. We touched on this on yesterday's video, so go watch, what are we, day 5 now? Go watch day 4. I talk about it a little bit more length, but you can collect a commission. I personally recommend you don't. I recommend you say to the listing agent, hey, I am licensed, because you're meeting your, you have to disclose as a licensed agent. So you say, hey, I'm a licensed agent, but I'm an investor. I just have my license so I can have MLS access. I'm not taking a commission on this. I want you can represent both sides of the transaction. I'm going to give you the full commission. And that's the way I would recommend doing it. Voice of Freedom, what up? Good to see you here. All right. Next. Does your fee for the double close come out the money you're making, or do you need money up front for the double? Wait, sorry. The fee for the double close come out of the money you're making. So I guess you're talking about like the closing costs and stuff. Yeah, with the double close, yeah, it comes out of the money. So basically, you have a title company, right, and they're handling it. So the you have your transactional funding. So let's say transactional funding, you guys shouldn't be paying more than 1%. There's some national companies that try to charge 2%. That's way too high. You want to be charging 1%. If you can form a relationship with a transactional funder where you're doing a lot of business, then you can probably, negotiate to a flat fee. You should try to do that. So you can probably just make a flat fee of like $500 or something like that. But again, you got to be proven. Show that you're doing deals. But then in that case, yeah, it comes out of the profit. So, the transactional funder funded the first deal. Obviously, B2C has their money in. And then then your profit's left over, right? So let's say the A to B sells for 100. The end buyer is buying for 120. So there's a $20,000 spread there. Typically, the title company will just pull out the transactional funding fee, which is the 1%, and then the closing costs might be, doc stamps and those fees and stuff like that. So let's say that ends up being $3,000 or something like that. They pull it out of your $20,000 profit, and then you'll get a check or a wire for $17,000. So basically, meaning no, you don't have to have money up. And for some reason, if the deal doesn't close, like you're not on the line for that, for those funds, for the closing costs or anything like that. So yeah, double closing is a good way to go. Rosie wants to know how many days for inspection. So we kind of talked about this before. You always want to get as long of an inspection period as possible. I've had students get up to 45-day inspection periods. But you have to realize that there is an inverse relationship between how much of an inspection period you can ask for and the likelihood that you're going to get your contract accepted. Also, so that's kind of the seesaw. But then you have these other factors in there, such as how motivated is the seller, how much competition is there, and things like that. How much demand in the area. So, for example, if a property has been on the MLS for like 2 days, and you submit a 14-day inspection period, it's very unlikely to get accepted because you probably have other offers coming in. Now, if it's been on the MLS for 100 days, it's probably not as much competition, so you can probably ask for a longer inspection period. My advice would be, if you're dealing direct with a seller, meaning it's not listed, it's something you sent a postcard and they called you, and maybe, you talk to them, they explain the motivation. Remember, guys, all this stuff about ARV and repairs and comps that everybody likes to harp on, it is important, but for me, that is secondary. The primary thing is the driver behind why. Why are you selling? And then you have to know, like, the mortgage balance, obviously, make sure there's equity in the property, and then you want to know what's the lowest they'll take. So those are most important. But yeah, back to, so if you're dealing direct with the seller, and again, there are not like a lot of offers coming in through the MLS, you can ask for a longer inspection period. That's basically the time that you have to do your due diligence, to market the property, to exit the deal without any consequence if you need to. So if you're dealing direct with the seller, I would start asking for 21 days. Some people like to do 30 days. But anywhere 14 to 30 days is cool. Dude, if you're trying to sell a property for 21 days and it's supposedly a deal and you can't sell it, it's probably not a deal, or you're just really in a shitty market. And then for listed properties, my default and what I recommend to the majority of my students is 7 days. And it depends. Some states like California, the standard is just 17 days on the contract if you don't write anything in. So that's fine. But I recommend putting in 7 days because it's competitive enough. Some addendums, like let's say if you're doing a lot of short sales or something like that, the addendum comes back, it's usually like 10 days. That's a pretty good amount of time. Also, another kind of little trick I like to do, which is in the ironclad contract clauses available on my website. That PDF is, I write in the addendum, you put, there's like a checklist a lot of either sellers or realtors might look over. So the inspection period is going to be one of those things. So they might see your inspection period 7 days. Okay, check box. But at the bottom, in additional comments, I write inspection period to be in business days instead of calendar days. So now when you put 7 days, it doesn't include the weekend. So in their mind, 7 days, looks good. That's pretty reasonable. But you're tacking on that extra weekend, when you're submitting the deal. Also, just so you know, other things kind of on this note is, let's say there's any type of change to the contract. Let's say the seller, you make an offer of 145 and the seller wants to give you, say, okay, 150. You have typically, like the standard, it depends if you're using a certain contract or in the state, but typically it's like 2 days to sign back. If you just initial the change and send it back, the date of execution does not change. Anytime you initial a change, make sure that you put the date next to your initial. That, because the agreement is now different, that makes that the new date of executed contract. So now you've given yourself more time, meaning if, let's say I submit a deal on July 1st, if the seller makes a change, I just initial it, and I have a 7-day inspection period. My inspection period ends July 8th. But, let's say they make the change, they send the contract back to me July 2nd. I still have the contract, so I'm sending buyers there, right? Then I wait a day till July 3rd, right? Still sending buyers, still sending buyers. Now, the contract still says the 7th, but they made a change. So on July 3rd, I initial it, I put the date as July 3rd. Well, now my inspection period is July, 10th. So I've bought myself some additional time. Then remember, just because you put the 7th, yeah, you want to do what's going to get the contract accepted. So that makes sense. But let's say, there's some interest, but maybe you don't have a buyer who's committed, who's put up their deposit yet. You can easily say, remember, negotiations don't end when you sign the contract. It's not set in stone. So then you can say, hey, whatever, I'm out of town, my GC couldn't get there, I need a little bit more time, and you can ask for an extension. Now, a lot of times, the seller could say no. But remember what we talked about before, about psychology, about people being committed to you already, about them feeling like they're already halfway through the process and not wanting to go back and start all over. They've already decided in their mind that they were going to go with you. They got to justify that decision. They've already felt like the problem of selling the property has been solved. They've mentally spent the money, all these different things, right? So if you just ask for, hey, can I get another 3 days? Can I get another 5 days? It's usually not as big of a deal because they're already committed and already down this road, this process, as if, on the contrary, you were to go back, or they would have to go back and sign a new agreement, and then that person might ask for an extension. You never know. So that's a good way to do it. You can still, there are ways to extend that inspection period. And again, nothing is 100%. The seller might just say, no, fuck you. Okay, move to the next one. Not a big deal. All right. So let's keep rocking. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. David, oh, this is an email I want to touch on. Hey, brother, if you're on the stream, I will email you back on the first half of your question. I did look at that, but for the second thing, what is the best way for keeping track and following up on hundreds of leads? I personally recommend you have a CRM. Now, a lot of people get started in this business and they have nothing, so there's no need to jump to that. You just have to be organized. You can do it with an Excel spreadsheet, but at some point, and if you are looking at hundreds of leads, then I highly recommend you do move to a CRM. It's going to help you stay organized. Again, I use ReaFax, and that is Florida exclusive, but even if you click on the property, all right, it keeps track of everything. You can set up auto reminders. You can actually pre-write emails and text messages and all that stuff to go out at certain points in time. And then, I just put them to go out, and then if they're not applicable, let's say I've already had some kind of phone call or conversation with the agent, then or a seller or whoever, I just delete the stuff that's scheduled to go out in the future. But it's very well made that you can go through every single day and see like what's on your to-do list. And then even if you click a property, it will show you all of the the past interactions. So what was the first email you sent, and then what was the second, to show you the history, right? So you can see that, and also always know, because when you're looking at a lot of properties, it can be confusing, but like what you had going on, and where you are in the process and stuff like that. So highly recommend a CRM for sure. I've used FreedomSoft in the past. I've been very, very pleased with it. Like I said, now I think there are advantages to RealFax. I know Podio is something that's very popular. A lot of investors use it. I would look into it. I have not used it personally, so I can't speak to it. What I've heard is a lot of people use it and they like it, but there's a degree of customization where you have to kind of, I guess, spend some time figuring this stuff out in the beginning. So look into it. If you guys have feedback on it, let me know, just because I would like to know for myself if anyone on here is using that. But that's just what I've heard. All right. Let's see what we got here. First Value asks, how do I determine what to multiply my ARV by? All right, so if you want to expand on that question, please do so. But initially, ARV is the after repaired value. So what is this property worth if it's in the best condition? The ideal formula is to multiply it by 70%. And one of the reasons is because hard money lenders, that's typically what they'll lend at, usually the max, but not always. It's just like most common. Also, that's what we kind of learn. But again, it depends on your market. I'm in a very competitive market. There's a lot of demand, a lot of buyers, stuff like that. I can easily sell houses at 80% of ARV. So sometimes it just comes to knowing your market, right? Sometimes there's certain areas I just know if I get a property between 100,000 and 120,000 on streets, A through H in Lake Worth, and they're concrete block, I'm gonna sell it. So I don't need to do the math, and part of that just comes just by knowing your territory, knowing your area, and then I got my videos, target market, where you can kind of learn and figure out more of the math behind that. But if you have follow-up questions, because there's a lot of stuff you can go into there, just type in the box and I got you. All right, let's see. Mario's on here. Cheers. The name looks familiar. I think you might have sent me an email or something like that. I don't have it pulled up, but what's up? Thank you for being on. Do I do owner finance and deals? I don't typically. I have done them in the past, but again, that's just stuff that kind of has fallen into my lap, and it's not something that I aggressively go for. I really like my wholesaling niche, and I pretty much stick into that. Have I ever done apartment closings? No, I have not personally. I have done multifamily, like duplex and triplex, but I never did an apartment. Casey Lovett joined. What you doing tonight, man? I'll be out here. Hit me up. ReaPro. Yeah, that's ReaFax here. There are a couple different like tiers. That's the one I use, is professional, and I also have the all county plan. You can do it just by single county, but I recommend having the all county plan because I've done deals all throughout Florida, and it gives you really, really good information. Quick comps, but you can break it down by certain criteria, including like the subdivision, which is really good for doing proper comps and stuff like that. And then again, I have a discount code 4409, save you like $50 a month. Ace, yeah, ReaFax Pro decent, yes it is. Lewis, do you use the formula ARV times 70% minus repairs minus wholesale fee price you offer to the seller? Okay, again, yes, that is the formula. That is correct. And I use it as a starting point. But then there's a point where you just got to listen to common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a property is, let's say, listed for 150, the syndicator's back. I think you've been on all week, so thank you. Appreciate that. What's up? But yeah, back to this formula. Look, if the property, let's say it came on the MLS or something like that, and you're listing it at 150, you might do this whole formula and shit, and it comes out to, I don't know, $70,000. If you offer them half of what they're asking for within 1 week of this being on the market, you're not gonna get the deal. Like, period. So be a little smart about it. Like, not everything has to be this scientific formula. Part of it just got to be common sense. And I always tell you guys, get control first. If you want to see this in action, right, go to my YouTube channel and find a video that says how I made 10K in 23 hours. You're going to see a deal on there. I think I might have offered, I talk about in the videos, it's been a little while. Like, on that deal, I don't even know if I did a formula. I just knew the shit was fucked up. Like, the inside looked gross and was falling apart. So I knew there was potential there. One of my students sent me a deal not too long ago with, like, and the description was like freshly painted, stainless steel, you know, granite countertops. I said, hey, like, why, if there's a reason to pursue it, you know, if something happened to that seller, why they have to bail on it, fine. But typically, the money is not in the pretty stuff. The money comes from the rehab, when you could make it nice. So when you see holes and broken windows and smashed up shit, and I've seen gross stuff, man. I've been to, I don't even know how some people do some of this shit, but man, I've been through houses where literally just like used condoms on the floor. And as gross as that shit is, you know, you gotta watch where you step. That's where the money is. When you walk in and the house smells like piss, those are the best deals, because you know you can negotiate. You know the pool of buyers gets smaller. You know what I'm saying? Those are the deals that you really want to go for. And I always go off. So, oh yeah, so go back, watch that video, because I'm showing you guys how I did the math. And a big part of it was like, and that was something that was new to the market. I don't think it had even been up for more than a week. And it was something where I had to go in and make an offer that just made sense first. And I needed to be lower than what it was listed for. And then eventually, you know, I had to go back and ask for a price negotiation. That's where I made the majority of my spread, to ask for a price reduction. But I had to get that control first. And if I had stuck to that formula there, while that's ideal, that is great, I never would have sold that property. And that the spread on that was about like 20K on that one. And again, that was from the MLS. So all these people that tell you there's no deals on the MLS, or I want off-market deals only, that's bullshit, because I made, it was just under 20K on that one. And then the end buyer did very well. I don't remember the number, but did very well on that as well. So, all right. Renee's on the YouTube today instead of usually on Facebook. What's up, Renee? Renee did what I've been saying. She went to a RIA meeting today. It was great. Connected with a couple of investors. Used your script to ask investors questions. That's awesome. You guys should always be networking. Network with me. Network with other people in this group. Say what's up to the other people who have joined. You guys know you're like-minded. I don't need to be involved, man. I want you guys all doing deals together. That's amazing. You know, I do have a script that I talk about networking. I got a video on YouTube, actually, about networking. But a big part of me and one of my core beliefs is really just to give value first. See how you can help other people. And this doesn't come from a place of being necessarily altruistic, like you're some saint just trying to help everyone. And it doesn't come from a place of deception. It's just like, hey, we could make some win-wins. Tell me what you need. If I can help you, I can help you out. And because of the way our society is so closely networked, particularly with social media and stuff, you'd be surprised at just how much value you can add to other people. You might just say, hey, I don't know, you know, anybody who can do X, but maybe my friend knows, and give them a name. You know, there are times I've been in groups where they're like mutual members. I'll say, hey, I know both these guys, and I'll just do a Facebook message and say, hey, you know this, and you're interested in that. I don't know if you guys can work together, but this is a really good guy. I vouch for him, and I think maybe you can do some business together. Meet. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Go for it. You got nothing to lose. So Renee, props, like she's actually taking action. Get out the house. Like I said, it's great to network online. I have a lot of great uh, interactions or relationships that have happened online, so I don't take away from that. And even any reservations I've had about joining some mastermind groups or being on social media and stuff like that, I've definitely seen the benefit. Even just being here with you guys, man, this is awesome. But I do think there's something very special about being in person, looking someone in the eye, shaking their hand, being face to face, getting known as a regular at some of these meetings. I'd much rather have you guys be specialists and go to one meeting consistently and be known, as opposed to all these different meetings. Although in the beginning you can try them all out and see which one you vibe with more, who's, you know, everyone vibes with something different. It's not necessarily better. Like people who work with, let's say my mentor, great guy. I love Lex to death. Everybody knows that. Lex just tends to be a little bit more professional. Every time I see Lex, he's in a suit and tie. For some people, that's very comforting, as they're a lot more comfortable dealing with that, right? Me, I'm obviously not that guy. You know, I talk the way I talk, and I've had people say, hey, can you tone down the language, shit like that? No, this is just me. And some people are more comfortable with that. So see what vibes with you. But yeah, definitely get out there. Put yourself out in the world. You'd be surprised at some of the shit that happens. So yeah, definitely do that. Props, Renee. I'm glad you made it out. I'm glad you had a good time. And keep going. Keep going. Got to be consistent. So that's another one. The Syndicator, one of my favorites. We got to talk offline too. I found a property on the MLS, was losing his home. I bought it for $165 under market, so it's true. Good, man. Did something happen with that? Were you able to flip it? Are you holding it? If you could let us know, be happy to share your story. And you guys look this guy up, or I don't even know, guy, lady. Shoot me your government. But you guys could do business with this person. This is obviously someone serious. They're making offers. They got deals. They're on here every day. They've been here every day. Hit them up. Hit them up. Do deals. Mike, does Lex still write and or assigns in the far bar? That's a good question. I would assume probably not. Most likely, you're just hitting the checkbox. I can't speak for what everyone else does. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but Lex is doing his thing, man. So whatever he's doing, I would imagine he's just checking the box that says this contract's assignable or not assignable. I haven't seen anyone write and or signs in a really, really long time. In most cases, especially if you're dealing with realtors or anything like that, it can come as a red flag. If you want to assign, what I usually say, if you're dealing direct with the seller, you can make the contract assignable, but don't write and or assigns. Just do a checkbox or write it in the addendum or something like that. You kind of want it to fly in under the radar. But more often, especially if there's a lot of competition, I would write the contract as non-assignable, and your go-to could be just do it double close. But here in Florida, you can do the land trust, where basically the trust buys it, and then you sell the rights to the trust, right? So it accomplishes the same as an assignment, but it lets you get around deed restrictions and stuff, because you're assigning the beneficial interest or changing the trustee. So the owner on deed never changes. And then the other way is to just go back to the seller and say, hey, you know, I'm not sure how I want to take title to this, and I don't want to do a quitclaim deed. Can we just make this assignable? And then everything in your addendum should not have explanations. So you should say explanations verbally. You can put it in an email, the whole reason. But the addendum should always be very straightforward. So this contract's assignable. Boom, that's it, right? And then you do that and you ask them to sign it. Most times, because the people are already on that process with you, they don't care. You tell them, you can even tell them, look, I can still be accountable. I'll make sure it closes. I might want to take title to it in my other LLC, or I'm starting a new LLC. I might want to put it into, I'm not sure. Or me and my partner might be forming a new LLC. We might want to put it into that. Is it cool if we just make it assignable? Boom, and then it's done. And that's a much better way to do it, because if they say no, it's not like you're canceling the first contract. You still have the contract. So you try to get them to say yes, try to get them to say yes. They say no. Okay, cool. Well, now you just double close. So that's kind of the best way to do it. That's how I would do any of the assignment stuff. All right, do you need an agent? Joseph McCall, that's another name that looks familiar. So that's what's up. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. Katarina, thank you for being here. Pleasure to see you. I got your email somewhere. I'll check your question in a minute. Joseph, do you need to be an agent, in order to do deals on the MLS? No. And if you are an agent, again, I recommend you do not take a commission. So you have to disclose that you're licensed, but I would act as a non-licensed person. So you do not need to be an agent to do a deal on the MLS. Also, I'm not sure if this was Katarina's question or someone else. 1 second, guys. They asked me. I have it pulled up somewhere. It was about MLS stuff. Give me 1 second. I can't remember the question, but I know it was a good one. And I have a couple of things here. I remember. It was how to get access to the MLS. It was, no, it's Trey. Okay, I got it right here. Hope you're on, Trey. If you are, give a shout. I just finished watching your video, blah, blah, blah. I'm a virtual wholesaler, new to the game. I want to get access to the MLS. I know that's key. What is the best way to get access to multiple MLSs? So you got to realize, even as licensed realtors, most of these MLSs, they're in a specific region or area, so they don't have access to everything. So a couple ways you could go about it. You could get licensed. I'm not licensed, right? So that's not my go-to. But again, a lot of my business, guys, is networking, rapport, and rapport relationships, right? So you can make good relationships with realtors, and again, put it in their best interest. You cannot keep going to people and saying like, "Hey, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me?" It's like, "Hey, how can I help you? How can I serve you?" And again, it's not from a disingenuous place. It's not being altruistic. It's just finding these win-win situations that benefit everybody. And as much as people don't like to admit it, yo, that's how most of life works, you know? Thank you. So now I lose my train of thought. Okay, yeah, so go to these realtors. You can tell them, it depends on the situation. Some of them, if they're like your homeboy, you know, something like that, you can tell them what you're doing. I'll tell you a secret. My mom is a licensed realtor. It's like one of the reasons I'm not licensed. But I don't want to get her in trouble. I have other people that do, I don't want to say shady stuff, but other stuff. Because my mom is very clean cut. God bless her heart. Like, there have been times I'm like, "Mom, get me the lockbox." She's like, "I got to take you there. I'm not giving you shit. My realtor's book says blah, blah, blah." So, but form good relationships with realtors and tell them they'll help you out. I believe, again, I'm not licensed, but I believe they can make you an account for like an assistant where you can have, I think it's somewhat stripped away, but it's like access to the MLS. You can also get IDX access. There are some states and some services where you can buy that access. So, yo, go to Google. You'd be surprised what you find on there. If you are in Florida, you can get access to IDX and MLS portal at going to investingwithmike.com/FLMLS portal. That'll give you access to IDX, and you could look stuff up by, some kind of thing. You can look properties up by the MLS number and stuff like that. And then the other thing, guys, you got to realize these sites like Zillow, Trulia, Movoto, Realtor.com, that's all they are, portals to the MLS. Now, granted, we would imagine these things all look the same, but sometimes like Zillow is a great resource. So many people overlook it and talk shit on it because it's not perfect, or those estimates are kind of fucked up sometimes. It's a great resource, and a lot of times they're pulling data. Think about it, it's a multi-million-dollar platform. They're pulling in data from all different types of MLSs. So I recommend you have, you know, put it in your favorites and your toolbars, and you can pull all these up at the same time. But these are great tools to still pull in a lot of these deals. So use those. That's all they are. They're portals into the MLS. If you guys need that website, again, from my website, investingwithmike.com/FLMLS portal. That's obviously for Florida only. And I'll put it in my description. I keep saying I'll put stuff in my description. I haven't. I'll try to do that either tonight or tomorrow. But feel free to hold me accountable, guys. I am human and busy, so I forget to do some of these things from time to time. All right. All right, Nadir, what about when you get a property under contract, then you have other wholesalers, or rather your buyer, go behind your back and go directly to the seller? You get that FAR bar notarized. Well, look, if you have the contract, right, they can't sell it. So can you put a notice of interest on the title? Yeah, you can. That's one way to do it. I talked about this yesterday. I won't go into too much detail. If you weren't on the stream, I'd say just watch yesterday's stream. There's certain things. I gave you a clause in yesterday's video that you can actually put in there from my Iron Contract Clauses PDF. Again, that you guys should go to my website and download, wholesalingwithmike.com. It's right there on the front page. That gives you something to put in there. And then, yo, there are times some people will do that. They're shady people. They'll try. There are times where it's not even going to be worth your worth your time. You know, I've gone to file a notice and it was just such a pain in the ass. I was like, you know what, I'll just move to the next one. But you can do that. Also, certain things, right? So on the Florida contract, for example, the standard contract says you cannot file a notice. That's on the FAR bar, right? The realtor approved contract, purchase and sales agreement. But remember, everything that you write in the addendum overrides, it supersedes any of those things. So if your contract, for example, says it can't be assigned and you write in the addendum this is assignable, then now it's assignable. So that's another clause that I have in ironclad contract clauses that you can write in there and says, you know, seller is aware that buyer may file a notice for interest. And that basically just, you know, basically what it does is you go to the court and you show them that you have the contract, meaning you have exclusive rights to buy, right? And if someone else tries to sell it, let's say the seller gets a higher offer after you or a buyer tries to go around you, then when that title company tries to do the title search and it'll come up and cloud the title, they won't be able to close. And so they'll have to go to you and either, you know, sell you the property and then maybe you can sell it to that end buyer, or they have to pay you a fee, let's say $3,000 to $5,000 just to release that. So yeah, you can do that. But again, I find that's going to be super rare. You know, you don't really. And if a lot of you guys are not taking action because you're worried about shit like this, you need to stop doing that. I would rather, for all the times that that's going to happen to you and you're going to get screwed by a buyer, you could have done 5 other deals. So it's good to know. It's good for your education. But again, this is like supplemental stuff. I always recommend you have the core education, like how do I fill out the contracts? How do I protect myself? Stuff like that. And then just start taking a shitload of action. And then, you know, for me to take a trip down to the courthouse and wait and all this stuff, a lot of times I would rather just, you know, make 20 more offers and then blackball that buyer and let everyone know not to work with that buyer. And then I don't want that kind of energy around me. So I don't want sharks like that around me. So I'd much rather know who you are. I don't want to turn a blind eye and do deals with shady people and not know until you know, I get screwed. This is a person who's been screwing everybody else with $5,000. I don't know, and then come to find out on a bigger deal, you know, I get screwed on like 20 grand or something. I'd much rather just know from the jump if this person's kind of a piece of shit or they have different values from me. And now I know, and now I'm never going to work with them, all right? Again. And also, like, I'm kind of about that whole energy in your circle and stuff like that. So I just want to keep people like that completely away from me. So I'm cool with that. I don't really sweat it that much. Frank just linked up with an agent today. She sent me her list. I'm not sure which list you're talking about. It's always good to have agents on your side. But I will say, remember, do not have a buyer's agent, you know, maybe sending you deals and stuff, because you're going to get a much lower conversion rate. If you're basically bringing in another party to take the commission away from the listing agent, which is de-incentivizing them to work with you. Especially, remember, you're not just trying to do one deal with people. As a wholesaler, you know, using other people's money, your end buyers put up the money, so you have no ceiling. You know, all of your deals are unlimited in what you can do. So you don't want to be doing stuff where people like feel like they missed out on something or they don't want to work with you. Also, in the case of just ethics and being ethical, if you're working with a buyer's agent, they're doing work for you. Like, granted, sometimes they just put you on an automatic drip and that's fine, but that's still a service. You know, they paid to get their license and to get that access, and they pay to hang their license up in the brokerage and stuff like that. So for me, that's kind of like not really an ethical thing to do. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather just go to Zillow and set up an automatic search or something like that than to have people doing these things, especially if they're going to be writing up like a contract on your behalf. So I wouldn't have them do that, and then, you know, then you leave them out, cut them out, and go work with the listing agent. So 2 cents on that. All right. All right. My man Michael M's got to bail because he is dishing and got to go dish out some more cold calls. That's exactly what you should be doing. I love having you guys here. I prefer to have you here, but I prefer you to take action always and be making that money. So do your thing. Do your thing. That's awesome. Kareem, what about RealFax? We talked about it not too long ago. If you're in Florida, that's my go-to. Bread and butter. It's an amazing system. I highly, highly recommend it. Use the code 4409 and you will get about $50 off a month, which makes it cheaper than some of the other services. Ace Marketing, good to see you again. I know I've seen this, seen your name before. Got a realtor who set up her portal with certain keywords that sends me properties at a 150 or less in a specific area in Atlanta. Most are rehabs. That's perfect. I agree with that. I think that's a great way to do it. Again, keep in mind what I just said to Frank about, you know, if you got a buyer's agent doing a lot of work for you and then cutting them out of the deal. You guys can do that on Zillow. I have videos online. It works. Like, I'm not blowing smoke. Like, you can see it in my other videos where it works. You can go to Zillow. There's a keyword search. So after you put in the initial search, use the keywords. And again, don't be looking for stuff that's pretty. You know, I use terms like Chinese drywall, mold, fire, damaged, motivated, and you put in all these different keywords, and that's how you're gonna find the rehabs. That's how and then you just gotta be quick. You gotta jump on. Remember, speed. So the formula, especially listed stuff, is volume. You can't be doing 3 offers a week. So you need volume. You need speed. So as soon as something hits that MLS, you see you get the email, you call, and then follow up. You're probably not gonna get the deal the first time you offer, and if you do, you're probably offering too high. So yeah, speed, volume, follow up. Just keep repeating that. Great way to do some deals. All right. Robert says he's putting a sign on the back of his truck that says he's buying houses. Magnet sign. Great. That's awesome. You know, everybody got to find their strategy, but that's free marketing. So if you can do that, that's great. You let everybody know what you do. Like I said, whether it's a conversation every time you talk to somebody, if it's a message on social media, if you put a video out there, you know, just get comfortable telling people. You don't even have to use the term wholesaler. Just say, hey, I'm looking to buy houses, right? I want to buy houses. And that's all you got to do, okay? Kareem says, how do you assign a contract on listed properties? You just put it in the contract. You just say, it depends what state you're in. Like in Florida, ours have check boxes, and it says this contract is assignable or not assignable, basically. There's actually 3 options. One is like assignable and you're not liable for whatever happens afterwards. Then there's assignable, but you still have liability, and then not assignable. But so you can do that. But with a lot of listed properties, when you do that, you significantly decrease the chances you have of getting your contract assigned. Now, if something's been on the MLS for 100 days or 200 days, you can probably do that and get away with it, right? Because there's not much competition. But if something's brand new, that means there are other offers coming in non-assignable. Yours is going to be bumped down every single time. So I would highly recommend you put them in as non-assignable. And I don't know if you missed the beginning of this stream, but go back and watch it. We talked a little bit about that a little bit earlier. All right. So let's see what else we got. All right, this actually I want to go back. Email from Jan. I don't know if you're still on here. You're talking about you lost a buyer, and because you couldn't get them what they wanted, they keep calling and asking for properties. This is like a kind of a long email about how discouraged you are. Yo, like I said before, you cannot be discouraged from one thing. You can only connect those dots looking backwards. Everybody you should look at it as an asset. That doesn't mean necessarily has to take up your time or anything like that. But write names down. Take grow your buyers list, stuff like that. Keep in touch with these people. You never know. You feel like you lost that buyer. Next week another wholesaler might put out a deal. Now, if you formed good rapport with that buyer and said, hey, I'm sorry, such and such didn't work out, but what are you looking for, by the way? Oh, you want a house in 33401 neighborhood that's concrete block, and then for under 100,000. Let me see what I can do for you. Okay, I'll call you right back. Or, I'll call you back whenever. Next week, you get on all the other wholesalers list like I told you guys to do, and then somebody else puts out a deal that meets that exact criteria. Well, then you call that buyer back, and then you say, hey, I got what you need. But all this stuff you put in here, negativity. So I talked about, you're projecting that type of shit. Number one, you don't need to do that, and you shouldn't be doing it. But number two, it might be woo-woo for you guys, but I know this for a fact in my life about the certain energy and your perspective and the way you see things and what you're attracting into your life. And this kind of shit, man, you need to cut that shit off like immediately. And that's why some people have issues with me. It's not to be a dick, but it's like, yo, if you were a student, I would be like, you need to stop fucking doing that shit, man. You're shooting yourself in the foot. So yeah, just try to look at the opportunities that are there and not the reasons why things are not working. Deborah, appreciate the live streaming. I appreciate you being here. If it weren't for you guys, I would not be here. So this is awesome, and some of the feedback I've gotten is really, really amazing. And I appreciate you guys being here, and I really look forward to some more of these, good stories and all that stuff. All right, so how do I feel about the online wholesale approach? I think it's awesome. I think you should use every tool that's available to you, be it online or offline. Like typically in terms of conversion, when I go and meet a seller and talk to them and, display some empathy and, we get to know each other and build rapport and stuff like that, those are the deals that convert the best. And it's usually because I actually do care. And I think that's amazing. But there's so many times you could drive out and there's a degree to which that's not necessarily efficient. I also have a certain lifestyle that I want to live. I'm not the guy who just wants to be hustle, hustle, work, work, work all the time. I want the choice. Sometimes I do that and sometimes I won't. Online's amazing. The conversion definitely drops and goes down. You don't have that personal touch, but I believe in using everything that you absolutely can. When you say online wholesale approach, I don't know if you're talking about like PPC or anything like that. That might be slightly different. I personally don't do pay-per-click. I know that was popular. I find like the Google ads and stuff like that, it's probably not, it can get very expensive very fast, and I don't think the ROI is necessarily there. But if you have more like details on that question, like something specifically, just write it in there and I'll give you my thoughts. All right. Art. Okay, cool. Do I know Cali laws? It depends. I know some things. I do have some students out there. I don't know it enough to be, like any degree of proficiency like an attorney would. And I don't give any type of legal advice. I'm not qualified to do that. So even in Florida, I know stuff, but I can't say that I know the law in that sense. I don't do JVs out there. I only do them here in Florida. But if there's something I could help with or some general information I could give, I'd be happy to do so. Shit, it's almost 8 o'clock. Yikes. All right, so let's see. I think we got one more question. LF Brian, would I be willing to JV, help you sell houses in Florida? Send them to me, man. Email to me, mike@wholesalingwithmike.com. Like you guys know, a lot of people ask me questions like this. I know a lot of wholesalers, mentors, stuff like that. If you're not, let's say if they have a program or something like that, if you're not in it, they don't do it. If you guys have deals, I have tons of buyers looking for deals. I'm happy to JV with you. My criteria is you have to have it under direct contract. I've had situations I tell them my buyers I got some from. I go back and it turns out somebody else had the contract. It gets really messy. I don't do it that way. And then, if you have it, I'll put it out. I'll look at it if it makes sense. I'll sell it to my buyers. We split it 50-50. I give you half. Some people like to negotiate and all that shit. I believe in volume, and I believe in making my life easy. Happy to JV with you guys. Now, if you need me to walk through and tell you what to do and, walk you through obstacles and the seller said this and the agent says this, I do spend a great deal of time doing that with my students. So that's something I do ask you to sign up for my program. You do have skin in the game, stuff like that. Absolutely worth it. I have results to prove it. I have students doing well and making results and having a lot of success with that. But again, I put my heart, soul, energy into that every single day and emailing and all that shit. So I do have you join that program. You can find out those details at the website, wholesalingwithmike.com. We're winding down less than 60 seconds. I want to thank all of you guys for being here again and take two things. Take some action between tonight and tomorrow morning, even if that means making one phone call, even if you're uncomfortable, you don't know what to say. There's certain people, maybe you can't make an offer tomorrow. Maybe you haven't filled out the contract. I want everybody on this call to go to Zillow, type in rehab or cash only or something like that, and call. Just one phone call, just to be uncomfortable, just to get yelled at, just to have someone talk shit to you. And just do that for me. Believe me, it can be that spark that can just get you really moving. And tell me about it tomorrow. So that'll be your one homework assignment. And then the second assignment I want to give you is to have a question for me tomorrow. I will not be here this weekend. I'm going to be having a great time. But I will be here with you tomorrow to be our last session of the week. As far as next week, I got to look at my schedule. I've had a great time here. I might be doing the live sessions. I might not. I'm not completely sure. But tomorrow I'll be here guaranteed. So take advantage of it. All right. So let's get it. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. I want to see your questions. If you want to email to me in advance to make sure I get them to you, it's mike@wholesalingwithmike.com. Otherwise, I will see y'all out or I'll see you guys on here tomorrow. And again, you can shoot me your questions not only via email, but social media, Instagram, Mike Hill TWT. Where else am I? Facebook/investingwithmike.com. I got some resources for you on my website, wholesalingwithmike.com. And again, you guys got anything else for me? Just send it to me there. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love. All right. And we'll close this stream out. Bye bye.